Hello and welcome to Waifus of Overwatch, Episode 2. What?
Woo!
I am Erin Fitzgerald, and my partner is.
Danielle McRae. Hello, everybody, again.
Hello again. I can't believe we made it to a second episode, first of all. Who knew that we could do this more than once? So well done, us.
Right?
Virtual high five. Clink. But we have got such a special guest for you, especially with the huge new map reveal on Overwatch, the
Mm.
Eichenwald reveal, which is that beautiful castle map that we are all been in love with all week because it's been the brawl all week. We have for you our special guest. This podcast is the one and only Reinhardt, Darin De Paul. Welcome, Darin.
Hammer down here.
Oh my gosh, I love
I'm
this.
honored to be here. I am
Darin.
your field, Erin Fitzgerald.
Oh, Darin, that you would even do that after 2 throat-ripping sessions today. You are just a love ball that you would even know.
You know that.
You are the best human ever. Just so you know, Darin literally got out of a double throat-ripping day for him. In video games, it happens, but, with an actor like Darin who can just bring it, like, you guys know. You guys have seen Reinhardt. He brings it. So, of course, he's in high demand. Darin, let's tell everybody a little secret of ours, like how we met. Like, hi, Darin.
We met playing Cards Against Humanity.
We did. Yes, we did. Which is a really quick way to get to know someone, for the record.
It was a party. Well, it wasn't the Christmas party yet. That was the second time. But the first time was just a party at LA Studios, and you sat next to me. It was the first time we met, and I was doing all sorts of voices because I was really nervous, and I thought you hated me so much. You kept looking out of the corner of your eye going, who is this schmo? And then
You're so insecure. You're like an insecure actor.
you were, and then we bonded, and we would go and do karaoke in one room and go back to playing Cards Against Humanity, and I was like, she likes me. This is wonderful. I love Erin Fitzgerald.
Well, it was funny because that first night, I love that that's your interpretation of what happened, because that first night, I had never been invited to anything there before, so I didn't know anybody other than Cameron. So I was really super insecure like a teenager as well, and we were playing Cards Against Humanity, which kind of is like, oh, hi, strangers. Let me just put my really horrific sense of humor out there for you all. And I didn't know you guys. So, yeah, and then by the second party, I'm like, hey, we played Cards Against Humanity that one really awkward time. You're my best friend forever.
And I had seen you because I was at BlizzCon that year.
Yes.
The year Overwatch was announced. It was my birthday. And we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But a friend of mine who worked for Blizzard said, why don't you come and see this? And I watched your panel, and I'm like, oh, that's that girl. And she's so full of love and joy, and it was just wonderful. I'm like, I want to get to know her more. And then you showed up, and we played games and sang crazy stuff.
We did. And the beautiful irony is meeting you without knowing that you were Blackhand. Like, I didn't know you were Blackhand until the Christmas party. And then I'm like, oh, you're Blackhand, and I'm Ural. And there's some, like, Rule 34 stuff on the internet with us.
I remember that. Shame on you for making me look at that.
I didn't make you look at it. I didn't. You didn't look it up, did you?
Me, Ural. You made me weak. You made me look at things. You will die.
How's your head?
Ooh! That voice. My favorite line in that is when you go together. It's just so good.
With just that small, but that that all that credit goes to Andrea Toyas and her amazing directing and minimalizing everything to it being gorgeous. So I love that we're Blizzard babies, and that Blizzard was like, you're from New York originally.
We still have our place there. We basically live there, and we're kind of, about 3 years ago, we tried it here, thinking we'll go back in 3 months. I don't know if they like stage actors. And my agent was like, you should take some workshops with different casting directors because you don't know the rules. So learn the rules of Los Angeles. And one of the first ones I took was Andrea Toyas from Blizzard, the casting director and wonderful director. And she went, you you're not leaving. You're not going.
Yay!
And yes, Blizzard is the reason I'm here. I owe them everything. Yeah. I played Diablo for so long. And just that's the one game from theirs I'm not a voice in.
I love that. I love that I'm not in Overwatch, but that's the one I'm addicted to. Like, I'm in all the other ones, not Diablo, but like, you know, Heroes of the Storm, Legion, and, you know, World of Warcraft. But Overwatch, I'm nowhere near, so I can enjoy it without it. It doesn't feel like work. It feels purely like fun. And I get to enjoy your performance.
The story of Overwatch is that it's such a wonderful world to play in, and it can only get bigger.
Yes.
Yes.
To speak for myself, I mean, I had hoped that people would like the game. I didn't expect this outpouring of love. And it just, you know, I'm just smiling and from ear to ear, just thinking about, you know, the cosplayers and the fans and the fan art. I'm like, wow.
Oh, do you still have that picture of you and that Reinhardt cosplayer from, I think it was Comic-Con?
Oh,
yes,
that's so cool.
Can you send that to me so that I can put that on the podcast? Because I just think that's such that cosplayer was amazeballs. Oh, so good.
So huge, and he made it in 3 weeks.
Oh my
gravy! He's done with it yet. I'm going to add more to it. No. And it was right after the Blizzard panel at Comic-Con. And I was just walking down the hall, and I passed Michael Chu, who is a writer and writes a lot of Reinhardt. And he's like, come on in the panel. And I was just going to get in line.
Right.
Like, no, sit in the front. And they brought me on stage. I did like 3 lines as Reinhardt. And as I was trying to leave, it was about an hour of people going, can you sign this? Can you do a message? Can you do that? Yeah. I'm like, anything. I love that you love him. And then someone went, you have to see this. And they took me to see the gentleman, Extreme Props, I think is the name.
Oh, wow.
And by that time, like his left arm didn't work anymore because it's so, and he's going, no, I'm putting on the suit again because this is an important moment.
Oh, cosplayers.
And a very, very, very special man.
Okay, so you should know, just to understand my love of Reinhardt and why I call him my waifu, because he is my waifu. So Danielle and I work a lot in Japanese RPG games. So we get called waifus all the time, and waifu referring to being someone's wife, husbando being someone's husband. And I don't like the delineation that waifus have to go to wives and husbandos have to go to husbands. That doesn't make sense to me because it's not English. So why does it have to be that specific? So because I play as Zenyatta and he's a robot, and I'm very squishy as Zenyatta, meaning I die very easily in comparison to someone like Reinhardt. And then my first experiences with Reinhardt was that if there was a Reinhardt in front of me, I would be protected, and not only could I heal, but I could murder. And I was like, oh my gosh, Reinhardt is my knight in shining armor. Literally, he saves my life every time I play. He is my waifu. I'm in love with him. I would literally give him epithets of love every time he was in front of me because I was like, I love you, Reinhardt. And if he got hurt, I would be, I'm gonna heal you, waifu. I love you so much. I love you. Which is really, really deep when they revealed story later on that Reinhardt and you know, in Eichenwald, they had a major war against my people, the robots. So I feel like my love with Reinhardt is a Romeo and Juliet forbidden kind of love, mech to huge German knight. So that's real. That's my real waifu story. And I love that you're my waifu and you're on my first episode, our first guest for Waifus of Overwatch. So thank you.
Now, how about you, Danielle?
Oh.
Who you main with? Who's your favorite character?
Oh, my waifu. Well, I have quite a few favorite characters. I really love Zarya a lot. She's so much fun to play with, and I just started picking up Widowmaker, and I'm actually practicing Reinhardt, so I want to get better with him.
She has been practicing Reinhardt. She really
practicing today, actually.
Yeah, you really were.
You will play him because he is precision German engineering.
Yes, that's the line I have. That's the line I give you every time. Okay, Danielle, you have some questions?
Here's the story.
Oh, sorry.
Here's the story of that line.
Okay.
And I think this is Telling Tales Out of School. I've worked with 3 directors now on Overwatch. Andrea Toyas, of course, we did the most with, and J.B. Blanc we did a session with. But that particular session was my very first session with one of the reasons that I'm a voice actor, Andrea Romano, who directs man stuff, Animaniacs, and I walk in and there she is, and I'm just melting. So thrilled that I get to work with her. And so she was getting to know me, I was getting to know her style, and Reinhardt yells a lot.
Yes.
You know, 'cause he's just so boisterous. And she goes, let's find a quiet side. And that was the first line. She's like, let's take it down. Because it was early on. I think I'd done like 4 lines, all yelling. And she goes, let's see a different side of him. And I love when a director does that. Not do it this way, but think of something, you know, let's head down this road.
Yes.
And a couple sessions with her, and they're always just totally exhilarating.
Oh, isn't that fun? And that's my favorite line that I have programmed for you. And now Danielle has some questions for you. Danielle.
Yes, I do. I want to say my favorite line is the Hasselhoff line. I can't remember all of it, but I love hearing it whenever it's like I'm playing with a Reinhardt or against one. I love that line so much.
Night Rocker, don't you love the classics? Haven't you heard Night Rocker? I don't think that's it. There's another one about Hasselhoff.
A catchphrase.
Yes.
Crusader Online.
Hang on. I can't find the Hasselhoff line.
Yeah, I think it's in game.
Oh, yeah, it has to be.
It's an in-game line. But I love it.
Yeah. It's
okay.
Awesome.
So I have a few questions.
Such wonderful writers that it's a joy to go in every time and see what new treats they're going to have for me.
Yay.
It's like Christmas.
It is.
Yes.
Lovely.
Yes.
All right. So I have a question regarding voice acting. So I want to know what motivated you to become a voice actor.
It's something I always wanted to do, and I did theater for a very, very long time in New York. I was on Broadway once. I did a lot of off-Broadway and national tours, and everything that you heard was that it's very hard to break in, so don't even try.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't like New York actors. And I was doing a play at the Shakespeare Theater of New Jersey, working opposite Bruce Wynant, who runs a looping company and a wonderful stage partner. And he was working on the first Ice Age film. And he said, you know, we need some looping, some extra voices for Ice Age. Call me up and audition on the phone. I'm like, Bruce, I work with you every night. I play opposite you. He's like, no. Call me up and audition on the phone. I did a whole bunch of, he asked me to do different voices, different cavemen, different dinosaurs, all the dodo stuff. I booked the gig. We worked 2 days on it, and I was hooked. I'm like, I want to do this. I love this. It's everything that's in my heart that I may not look like, so I can't be cast as, or it's, you know, too cartoony, and I adored it. So I started, and I could not get an agent to save my life. No one was interested. In New York, it's about, you know, it's commercials. It's mostly commercials. And that's sort of, you know, you're at a bar and you're talking to your friend. I'm like, I don't drink. I don't have any friends. I do crazy characters. And I kept trying and trying and trying. And finally, someone took a chance on me and booked my first audition they sent me on. So that was very lucky. And it was the voice of a troll. So I was very lucky.
Oh, nice. That's really cool. And that's like a really good starter too. Like that's like the best first role to even have when you first start out.
Monster in this airline commercial because nobody can do a monster. And I did it and just kept booking and did a lot of, you know, I did the long-running Geico campaign, did some McDonald's ads. But I really wanted to try characters, and you have to be here. You have to be here physically to work on games and animation and a lot of the films and television things. Yeah. Because I flew to do Skylanders. Skylanders was the first game I booked. I booked Gil Grunt on that.
Nice.
And they're like, you have to come to LA to do it. I'm like, okay, no problem.
And now you live here with us forever.
Yeah. Yay. And I always say this is the most welcoming, most talented, most wonderful community of directors and performers and writers I have ever worked with. Mm-hmm. I am honored to be part of it.
Yay. Aww. Oh, good answer. Good answer.
Yeah. I really love that answer too. It's like a Cinderella story. And the thing is with voice actors, I love hearing their stories and how they got started. So I felt I needed to ask you because I love how every voice actor has a different story and how they broke in. So thank you for
Everybody
that.
has a different path to find their way home,
Mm-hmm.
and found my way home.
Mm.
So, it's hard when they go, well, what do you do? It's like, well, act, 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 acting, acting, acting. That's
Mm-hmm.
going to give you the background and the base that you need in order to make these very, very quick decisions, because you won't see the script until you get there.
Yeah, and
Right.
characters are strong choices in these
Yeah.
games and cartoons. They're really strong. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so my second question is we kind of covered this earlier, but how does it feel knowing that you voiced Reinhardt in one of the biggest video games right now?
Ever
This is a pretty
created.
this is kind of a big deal.
Epic.
It's kind of a
It is
yeah.
huge. And you booked in Star Wars, which is huge. But I feel like this game is even bigger than the Star Wars game. But
Oh
maybe
my
I'm cuckoo.
gosh.
And that's my religion, Star Wars. Let's just say that.
Well, because Erin, we had Thanksgiving together
Yes.
last year, and I'm just doing my thing. I'm just a mouth stupid. I just love what I do, and I'm very lucky to do it. But this year, Doom hit the week before,
Mm.
and I'm the main character in Doom, Dr. Samuel Hayden, the evil robot.
Yeah.
And then Overwatch hit, and people were like, who's this guy? Because I had done Valkorion in Star Wars the year before, and people were like,
Yeah.
Because Black Hand started, then Valkorion, and then Doom and Overwatch, and now with Final Fantasy 15 coming out,
Yes.
Yes.
and a whole bunch of stuff that I can't talk about, but there's some really exciting things coming out next year and into 2018, believe it or not.
Woohoo!
Oh, sweet.
But so I can't
A major
I can't
congrats.
even conceive of it. This is what I always wanted to do. I mean, Erin
Yeah.
knows this. This
Mhm.
is the kind of performing that I live for.
Mhm.
It's all the weird stuff that I learned, being on stage, having taken clown training with Cirque du Soleil clowns, working at Disney World in an interactive, The Adventurers Club, which was just this amazing thing made up every night, where there were 8 male actors in 5 roles, and 5 female actors in 3 roles. You switched every night. So you
Wow.
would play opposite it was just thrilling. And there were animatronic puppets that you operated. So when they came into
Ooh.
the Adventurers Club, the audience was entering our 1940s movie.
Mm.
And we would schmooze them, we'd do shows. I lived a character from 7 until 1 every day.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to take a break because I'm like, this is performing. I'm so alive. So
Mhm.
all that goes into getting through sessions, having that
Yes.
weird energy that I do. And it's just all that stuff that each of us brings to it so we can create a very, very unique take on a character. I almost didn't get Reinhardt.
No.
Ooh.
I will tell that story. I always wanted to. When the audition came in, because they didn't say it was Overwatch, they
No,
had
it's
a
secret.
picture.
Secret. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's always code names. Yeah.
Blizzard. So it's Black Hand. I've done Black Hand, so it's very serious, and there might be some goofy stuff to it, but this sounds like a tough guy. He's a really, really, grizzled warrior. And Andre Toys had written a great description, and so I did it very serious. And the agent called back, and they went, "It's between you and somebody else."
Mm.
But he's the heart of the bar. Everyone wants to sit by him because he's going to tell a story,
Yeah.
and he's going to share everything he loves. So what I did, because as you know, with Blizzard, they'll give you 5 or 6 lines. They don't follow, but here's something that would be an example of this, an example of that, an example of this. So what I did is I wrote a monologue using those 5 lines, but making a huge scene with Reinhardt. And I went, I'm either going to book this job or they'll never use me again because I didn't honor what they wrote.
Right.
And very, very, very kind to me. Because there was a barman named Rolf, and I'm telling stories, and he didn't bring me beer, and I'm just telling the story of Overwatch, which I didn't even know the name of the game.
Right.
And, while having this boisterous thing and just adding characters, having them talk to everybody, and you send it off and you go, okay, let's see what happens.
That was a risk. Yeah.
It was a risk,
and you never know, because it could go one way or the other. Like, you just never know with a big risk. Yeah, that's interesting. That's really cool.
Yes, it worked with that, and I was lucky because, yeah, like you say, some people are like, "What are you doing? What was that about? Just say the lines. Do you think you're better than our lines?" Like, no. I'm just trying to give you a feel of where I could go with the character, and it worked, I guess.
I love it. I love that.
I love it.
It feels like a really good segue into telling us. I want to go deep into how you created this character, who this character was based on, because the interesting thing about this game is majority of the male characters are cast out of Los Angeles, but almost all the female characters are cast outside of America, pretty much. Like, they're authentic to the countries that the characters are from, which is brilliant, and I'm so excited for the authenticity and the realism, and really breaking out and breaking the race barriers and age barriers for women in acting, and this game is so important to me for the female characters alone. But I loved I did get a little sneak preview of, I'm like, well, Darin De Paul, you're from New York, what have you got in common with Reinhardt? Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
My father is Russian, or was Russian, sorry, and but he was raised in Germany. His father brought orthodontics to Germany.
What?
And, yeah.
That's even cooler.
Family. And my grandfather was taken away by the SS, and they hid my dad because they were looking for him as well. Because, we were Russian. They were Russians and living in Germany, and they also got taken to camps. And my father would always tell the story of that. And I don't want to get so dark, but yeah. So there's a great joy and a great sadness in my dad, and Reinhardt is kind of my dad elevated, if you will, just heightened 3 or 4 steps, and it means a lot to me that he's in the game and that he has such joy. Yeah, I'm kind of choking up. He really would have liked this. He probably would have gone, "I saw nothing like that. What are you doing there? I saw nothing like this man." And I told the very first session, I told Chris Metzen, I'm like, I'm kind of doing my dad. It's based on my dad, and he was going, well, what did your dad say? Let's try and put some things that your dad said in the game.
Yes.
And it was so long, I forgot. But we said a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know if they're in there or not, but I just said a whole bunch of phrases that my dad would say.
Oh, and can you remember any of them?
The one that didn't get in, that he wanted to fit in, because he's like, I love that thing. I always was into action figures and toys, but I never played with them.
Yeah.
I just lined up and looked at them and made stories in my head because I'm a weird person.
What a good
But
kid.
my father would always go, "What is this with your googie gagas? What are you doing? Go outside. What is this? You play with your googie gagas. Grow up." And Chris Metzen was going, "Googie gagas. We got to get that in somewhere. We've got to get Reinhardt talking about these toys, these googie gagas."
He could have said that to Bastion. What are you doing with these googie gagas? That would have worked really well.
Maybe one day.
Maybe.
That was that very first session, and I'd never met Chris Metzen. I loved Chris Metzen. I'm sitting there going, here's the George Lucas of Blizzard. He's telling me the story of this game. They're showing me a drawing and then a line drawing of what Reinhardt looks without the helmet. And I'm just going, I hope I'm listening, because I'm kind of going, "Is this Metzen? I'm so excited. Just keep talking. This is so great." And, because he was going, I kind of see this guy. He's probably got a beaten up van, and he has the armor in the back, and he's riding around looking for wrongs to right. And I'm like, "Hey, it's Quixote." And I'd written this paper in grade school about my dad being Quixote and me being Sancho.
No.
Because Dad always would try these outrageous things. He would go, "I'm going to," jeans hadn't been popular yet, blue jeans.
Yeah.
And he was like, "I'm going to open a jean factory. We're gonna make designer jeans, and I'm going to go to South America, and I'm going to buy a factory, and that's what I'm going to do." So he went, he spent all the money, and he bought this factory, and a day before it opened, there was an earthquake, destroyed the entire factory. He did not take out insurance on the factory. So the factory was leveled, and we were left with nothing, because we grew up in Palm Beach, so we were those kind of people. Sorry, but then
Don't apologize.
we lost everything. And
Whoa.
but it turned out okay because the government was arresting all the American businessmen and putting them in jail for no reason. Because it was it's this weird history that my dad has. And he would go, well, now I want to run a restaurant. I'm going to be a restaurateur. And he'd do that, and it would be a big success, and then it would fail. And then he'd go try something else. So nothing ever stopped him. He was just this big man that was full of life and told great stories, and, you know, was president of the Wine Tasters of America when I was a kid, and was the head of the Florida Boys Club.
Oh my gosh. That totally changes the line again.
Yeah.
Again!
Oh,
like,
yes.
that is your dad. Let's bring it on. Let's do it again. So what if it failed? We'll try something new.
Yeah, it's that. I think about that. It's about honor and doing the right thing. You know?
That is amazing. That is amazing.
Wow.
Like, doesn't that... now, I'm a very, you know, I'm definitely one of those people that is into, I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in the synchronicity of the universe. Everything happens for a reason, and all of it is about love. I truly believe that life is about love. And this feels like destiny. Like, you get to revisit your relationship with your father in a new way, and then you get to immortalize him in what happens to be the biggest video game of all time. Like, is your dad still around? Does he know?
No, I'm trying not to cry. They right before I got on Broadway, they're both. It was pretty bad. They died.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I know.
But now he's alive for eternity. He's alive forever.
I know. It means a lot, and because he's really in games that are out right now, he's the only good guy I voice. Everybody else is baddies and villains.
And he's so good. He's so good.
Like Bill Brunt's a good guy, but in the more adult games, everybody's mean.
Right.
And,
well, even Matt Mercer, he plays McRae, and he's a good guy he's bad. He's naughty. Reaper is naughty. Yours is a true heart. Your character is a true heart. Oh,
well,
this is so awesome.
Because Mr. Mercer and I are both Florida boys. You know that, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
You know about that. I was an apprentice at the Burt Reynolds Theater in 1980-81, right after college. Mr. Reynolds gave us a year working at the theater. Running one show, you'd run the sound.
Right.
One show, you'd build the sets. One show, you'd get in it if you were lucky. And Mr. Reynolds' assistant, Elaine Dacey, is Mr. Mercer's grandmother. And a young lady came in halfway through my year. I had a big crush on her. And she was an apprentice as well. That was Mr. Mercer's mother.
Oh!
The first time I ever played Dungeons and Dragons was in Fiddler on the Roof between shows. The first game, Mr. Mercer's mother played, and the second game she watched. And Matt wasn't born. And one of my first session at Blizzard was a big Walla session. It was a group session doing background noises for orcs. Or noises, not background noses. That's very different. And I kind of bonded with Matt because we're both very focused and we have the same way of working.
Yeah.
And he's like, we should have lunch one day. And then we went, wait a minute. We have history.
That is cuckoo.
I know, and it was at Panera, and then Walter Koenig walked by, and we're both like, it's Chekhov! So we were both geeking out.
Oh. Again,
then,
no coincidences. That's the love thing, that love thing. Yay!
Yeah. Well, you guys are the best. I said it. I'm so honored to be one of your number. It's a great third act for me and my wife coming here and people going, oh, we get you. Oh, we appreciate what you do. Because sometimes in theater, they don't. Or if you can do a lot of things, that confuses people at times.
Yes,
Also,
I noticed that, yeah.
Yeah, they'll say, oh, well, you're the understudy because you can do a lot of stuff, so you're the anchor. We can always count on you, go be on the road for a year but never perform.
No, it's true. But it's such a, for Blizzard, I was able to be Ural, but mostly I just do all these smaller additional characters for all the games. And just to be able to have a job that uses all of your character abilities, it just feels so satisfying, and it feels like an ensemble, like the way theater feels like an ensemble, but nobody
Yes.
feels more important than anyone else, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're lucky enough to play a Reinhardt, that's just one of those great moments. But I know you well enough to know that you wouldn't care if you played a Reinhardt or second spear chucker to the left. You would just be happy to play.
I get as excited when I get to go in for, well, any session, but it's like, oh, it's gonna be Reinhardt today. Oh, I'm gonna go in and blindly voice 6 people in Legion. Let's see who they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go through the Rolodex of voices and try this one, try that one, try this one, and that's the thrill. I mean, I really adore that.
I love that. Yeah, you and Deborah are definitely in my inner circle of close humans that I just adore to pieces. You guys are the sweetest and most amazing humans. I'm so grateful. I'm very grateful to get to introduce you to Danielle, who plays your game. So, I mean, you play all of the games. Danielle is, she is a gamer and a voice actor, and this is really, really cool. I can't believe you agreed to come on to our second. I mean, I can because you're a friend and you're kind and you would say yes because you're lovely. But I'm so grateful for you coming on and sharing all of these amazing stories. Danielle, did you have any other questions for Darin?
Yes, I do.
So a helicopter going overhead.
Okay.
That's real life. We're not a fancy podcast.
That's the bane of our existence, recording at home. I told you about this, Erin. It's like we sort of by downtown here. Yeah. And it's helicopter central. And you'll be in the middle of a great take. Oh. And you'll hear the distance. And you sense it, the hair on the back of your neck. You're like, here comes the helicopter.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like my neighborhood because I live near a train track area. And so we also have helicopters sometimes too. So like whenever I do auditions, I'm like, okay, it's a train. It's coming. Okay, it's a helicopter. It's coming too. Okay. I just have to wait. Give it like 30 minutes.
I know, and you're in the zone. You're like, oh, this is going to be the best take ever. My heart's in the right place. I got it. And you're like, oh, for the love of Pete.
Mediocre. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's true. It's so true.
Yes. Okay. So I, as a huge Final Fantasy fan, I have to ask this question. So I noticed that you are in the new Final Fantasy.
Answer it, dear, but you can ask.
All right. So what I want to ask is
the Nizunia for you.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm fanning. I'm sorry. Oh. I tried to keep it in check. It's not working. But so how was it like lending your voice to FF15? And what was your response when you received the role for both Kingsglaive and
It comes back to Matt Mercer.
I love that all things come back to McRae. It's high noon.
There were like 8 roles that came in. It was under a code name. I did not know it was Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And I was going for all the gruff, lower sounding adult guys. And there was a picture of the character as, from the game. And I looked at it and I went, well, that's Matt. It's obviously going to be Matt. They're going to cast Matt. It's a perfect match for Matt. And I wasn't going to do it. And Deb, my wife, she was there and she's like, well, just do one take. Just do one take. You get this guy. You're from Palm Beach. You get this guy. Smiling snake of a creep. And I was like, okay, I'll do one take, but then let's go back to the ones like Sid and Core, because they're like the low guys. They're the Darin characters.
Right.
And I did one take and sent it off. Never thought anything about it. There was a callback, and they asked me back and did the audition. And they were kind of like, well, you know this character better than we do. And I'm sort of trying to be quiet, going, no, I don't. I just made a choice. Then there was a second thing where they said, you're going to do a trailer. You're a newsman in a trailer. Now, because Japan is phoning in, it's going to be at 10 o'clock at night. So I went out to do the trailer, and a couple people were there, and the director said as well, you know what this is for? I'm like, no, I have no idea. Well, it's Final Fantasy. And I knew of it, and I was all excited and congratulations, you're artist.
Oh my gosh.
I love that.
So then we go in to do the trailer, and I do a newsman in the trailer and just sort of talk about something. And then they went, we want you to do some exertions with this soldier. I think it was a Luna Freya. The soldier threw her down. And so I spent like half hour doing rough exertions. So we're getting to be 11 o'clock at night.
Jeez.
And then the director's face sort of fell. And he's like, Darin, we're going to have a second callback for Arden right now. And I'm ragged. I am just like kind of even worse than I am now. I'm like, okay, I'm going to lose this job because they want him, they're like, do it higher register and try not to have travel.
And you just did a whole, gravy.
Yeah. So I did it and I went home, drove home with Deb. I'm like, well, I lost that. There's no way. There's no way I'm booking that. There's absolutely no way. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you're doing this session. And then I think it was at the beginning of this year, they went, oh yeah, there's going to be like a little film thing. And I thought it was like a short. No one told me it was Kingsglaive.
By the way, right. Because they don't tell you. This is the thing that we would like to have in our contract so we can negotiate properly is knowing what we're working on, but they don't tell you.
Well, that was its own special, the special math of doing that because the fabulous motion capture performers in England had already done their work.
Right.
And I was doing the voice, even though there was, a performer for Arden. And he didn't know my take on the character.
Right.
And we had a different take, and I'm trying to fit my version of Arden in his word, in his mouth.
Wow.
Like, match his mouth movements. And it was really great. Jamie Mortellaro, who was directing that.
Jamie. I love Jamie.
Yeah.
Oh,
me
I
too.
think it's okay to say, he guided me through it.
Is that a train, Danielle?
That is my train. Yep. That's
there we go.
And so he guided me through that. And I thought, oh, well, it's just going to be a little thing. And then I saw that, what was the big reveal they had at the LA Convention Center, I think. What was it called? The 15, for Final Fantasy 15. It was in the spring of this year where they basically revealed the game and Kingsglaive and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm in that too.
Oh,
my
surprise!
Yeah.
You didn't even know. That is cuckoo.
No, I was like,
you
oh, it'll be
didn't
a cutscene.
Wow. Yeah, it's like it's so fast. Like I remember, and that was one of those projects that I love it when you can get called into a project like that, not know you're working it, do like a ton of ancillary characters, and then find out later that you're, oh, by the way, you were in Final Fantasy 15. Oh, because I don't even know how many I did like 3 sessions for them doing, multiple additional characters. And there's not a lot. I mean, Final Fantasy isn't female heavy, so but it was really fun. And I'm like, I love that's the type of industry we work in, that you have to work your butt off with all the callbacks. But even if you don't book the big part, odds are without even auditioning, you can get brought in for a lot of the ancillary parts, which is yay. Thank you.
When was it? I think it was last month. I was brought in for something. I still don't know what project it is. They will not tell us.
Right.
And it's top secret. Well, I did the session, and I had not auditioned for it. I made up, I'm like, well, that's kind of what I think they're going for. They liked it. We did it. And I'll find out what it is, I guess, when the game releases.
There's like 2 games that I did, not this year, but at the end of 2014. I still don't know what they were that I worked on. I can't even put them on my credit list because I don't know what. And they were huge titles because they used secret code names. I really need to email that studio and say, hey, what was the secret code name that I have no idea that I worked on? That's cuckoo. It's hard. That's really hard for your resume. Just saying.
And it's important. It's just one of the things we have to do. IMDb, we've got to have more listings on it.
Yeah, and it's because sometimes they don't list the whole entire cast. Like sometimes they don't list the additional characters and stuff like that. They'll just list the main cast. So you may worked on a huge title, and if you don't know and put it on, then they don't think to add you. That's interesting.
I know it's a whole new way of working, but those are the rules.
Right, for now, until we can
Yeah.
change them into something that's but that requires actors to keep their mouth shut, which is the problem in
That's
the
true.
first place. If actors weren't so busy bragging about their work, then we wouldn't have to do this crazy, super secret quiet
Well, I did
game
work on a game, and in the middle of the session, the director, his face fell because he said somebody just leaked the whole thing.
Oh.
no.
It's online now. I'm getting all these emails. They leaked pictures. They leaked. It's like I don't know where they got them.
Oh no.
Someone, I mean, with the first Black Hand session, not the cut scene, but the first, it was on YouTube. Somebody data
Wow.
and put. I don't know how they do it, and it's awful because I don't want to spoil the game. I want everyone to enjoy it, and immersed into the world because I love that stuff. I'll just run around, WoW, and explore, going, well, let me visit here, let me visit there, and why ruin it?
It's so sad. The spoiler people who feel like and it doesn't actually. Nobody wins with that. Nobody wins.
No.
Like the production companies lose thousands of dollars because all sorts of stuff gets. It's on the production end, we get it the worst as actors. We're the ones who suffer the most. And it actually I don't even know what happens in the studios because I mean if people are leaking it from in studio in production, I can't even imagine how miserable their life has to be.
Well, here's what I wish for everyone. And it's a roundabout story, but hopefully it'll be a good one. So my friend Jason Bischoff and Kim Cannon, Jason was the licensing guy for Blizzard. And I think it was 3 BlizzCons ago when Overwatch was announced. He got me a badge. He's like, I think you should come. You've done some work, and I think you should experience BlizzCon. And it was my birthday. I got there. I walked in with Kim because Jason was working the booth, the big sales booth. How he did that, I don't know. And as I walked in, it was the first day, and Mr. Metzen announced Overwatch, and they showed that wonderful cinematic. And I'm like, I think I'm in this. Then they came back to Chris, and it was like, and we got something else for you. And they're showing everything. And it's the first time I see Reinhardt in action. And I almost thought, because he was the last one in that.
Right.
And I'm, well, maybe he's not announced yet and everything. And then he comes around the corner, and I start crying because I'm like, it's him. And, you've got that build and the music. It's so thrilling. And then they come down, and that's it. And I'm just like, wow. And that's what the game experience should be for everybody.
Yes.
That's what we're working so hard towards, is that you have that wow and that thrill and that just outpouring of joy. So, don't spoil.
So the spoilers really take that away. They kind of they let the air out of the balloon so you don't get that beautiful childlike moment of awe.
Yeah. To just go, dang, that's gorgeous.
Oh, such a beautiful thing. And it was, and I don't play first person shooters at all because I don't like the perspective. It makes me nauseous. It's very hard. What I liked about Reinhardt was the second character I attempted to play from Zenyatta. Because Zenyatta was very squishy because I wasn't a great shot with him. So I was like, well, if I need to move the payload, maybe I should be Reinhardt because he's got that shield. But what I loved about Reinhardt is when you put up your shield, it turns to third person perspective. So I get a little bit of a view, which is so much easier for me. And I was like, okay, so I can be Reinhardt and shield everybody. My problem is when the shield runs out and I have to use your hammer because I am drunk Reinhardt with your hammer. I am swinging. I don't know if I'm looking at the sky, the ground, my butt. I can't tell where I'm looking. I am just swinging like a mad person hoping something gets hit. I have no idea. I watch these people play your characters to such a level of mastery where I mean, what they have to be doing with that controller and their thumbs to get the view to work properly and be smashing everything with that hammer, that is a level of skill that I don't know if I will ever achieve in this lifetime. But it's so majestic. Like, when I am your character, I feel the weight of being him. I feel the protection. They did such a brilliant job with the characters in this game. When you're Winston, which is Crispin Freeman's character, just the sound of his paws when you're running, you feel like you're a giant gorilla. It's amazing. So good.
I auditioned for Winston.
Did
early
you?
on, like one of the first things that came out. And then I was at a session at Blizzard. I hope this isn't giving anything away. And they're like, well, let's play your reference. And it was not my audition, but it was someone doing Winston. And I'm like, oh, I recognize that. That's Winston. What's he in? And they're like, there's nothing. Wrong reference.
I love it. See, even on the inside, they can't tell you anything. You're in your inside, and they can't. They're like, oh, you don't get to know. And the rooms are all separated.
I just auditioned for this big gorilla, but he's really gentle and a scientist. I'm like, is that going to be in WoW? Is it going to be in Hearthstone?
It's going to be in.
I don't know.
Yeah. I love that.
It's a great character, and I think that's what happened with Reinhardt. It was not called Overwatch. It was called. I don't even think it was called Titan. There was another name for the code.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, I don't know. And that's a problem. I'm sure you know, Erin. Sometimes when they don't tell you, you don't know the tone of the game.
Exactly.
Right.
That is 90% of the problem when you're auditioning. The one thing I like about Blizzard, though, is that they have such great fantasy characters. At least I know it's going to be in the fantasy realm, which makes it a little bit easier. And that makes it then, like, if I know the audition's coming from Blizzard, which usually my agent will tell me, then I can dial into at least that. But if they don't tell me who's making the game and it's like that much of a lockdown, I don't even know where to start. I don't know if they want super film read. I don't know if they want huge grandiose characters. Like, how do you decide? You just take risks, and it either hits or it misses, and you have no idea.
Yeah.
It's
just taking a chance. And I think that's a little better than a theater audition where you're standing there and making a strong choice that's not what they want, but nobody said anything.
It's on their face, and they're just looking at their face going,
oh. And you have to leave, and you're like, oh, thank you. That was fun. Bye. My wife still does theater. She's in a wonderful production of In the Heights right now up in Solvang that I just love and cry whenever I see it.
Oh, she's so talented.
She's still doing it, and I'm going, I don't think I could do it again. I love theater, and I miss it so much, but I'm very lucky at the time, but I
No, it ruins you, Darin. It ruins you. I can't. The only theater I can do is that fake radio theater because it feels like I'm doing a video game or something because I'm behind a mic and I'm acting and I get to change characters. But regular theater, I don't know if I could go back to it because I love the flexibility and the constant changing of characters and the constant being with new groups of people and getting new. I like the newness, and you get addicted to the constant state of newness. It's a little, it's problematic, I think. Perhaps or not.
I did Little Shop of Horrors right after Broadway.
I love
on tour
Little
for
Shop.
2 years, and I covered Mushnik for the first year, and then I got to take over. But it's a wonderful paycheck because you go, oh, I'm on the road, I can save some money, but you're doing the same show, and it's finding that newness, and that show's such a toolbox that it's easy. I have done shows where it's like,
again.
There was
when your Reinhardt is like again.
I did a production. My last year, sort of, when I decided no more theater, was 2009. I did stand by off Broadway and Old Jews Telling Jokes in 2011, which was a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
But 2009, I had 3 horrible theater experiences. One of them, It's a Wonderful Life, the musical. And
Whoa!
It's an okay show.
I didn't know it was a musical.
The guys that wrote Fiddler, Sheldon Harnick wrote the music to it. It kind of works. It's always, they try to make it work. It doesn't quite work. Some of it does. But it was at a theater, and during rehearsal, everybody was just so negative. And because I had my Cirque du Soleil clown training, and I love that, I was like, well, they're telling the story to Clarence. I'll just sit on stage the whole show and not move, except for when I do my scenes, and I won't steal focus. I'll just be totally dialed in for 3 months of just sitting there.
Whoa.
And it was an exercise. I loved it because I'm weird. And then when you get to do your scenes, it's this big explosion of love. But just the focus it takes.
Right, to be on stage.
And
not pull focus.
Not pull focus. Because if you tilt your head a little bit, that's going to pull focus. And it's like,
Wow.
just be dialed in and watch. Because I love when they do that in Cirque.
Yes, they do, and they do it masterfully.
Yeah, and that's my little thing about, here when we do games, I'm all about focus. It's like, well, let's dial this in and let's go. A couple of studios tend to call me the machine because I'm just like, let's just go. We go. And we make it happen.
Oh, I
I'm
love
weird.
it. No, you're not. You're an actor, my love. That's what being an
Yeah.
actor is. It's the craft. It's the art form. It's the craft, and
Yeah.
it's like any form of art. It's not like we don't do it for a career. The career is a side effect of something you'd be doing anyway because you have no choice, because it's in your spirit, it's in your soul. Like somebody who paints, it's in their soul. They have to paint, they got to get it out. Somebody who is a musician, they have to create music. They have whether or not they're getting paid for it, they're going to do it because it's in their soul, it's in their spirit. The create somebody who cooks passionately, somebody who is a clothing maker passionately, anything that is creative when you're doing it, you lose track of all time, space, and anything, and it's something you can do for hours and hours without even blinking. That is what we're talking about, and you have that with character work and acting and performing and helping bring a story to life and taking it to that place, and that's what it is, and it's masterful, and it's almost like your entire life has been a beautiful training ground of just what learning the craft, taking the craft to a different level, experimenting with the craft so that you could get to this place where entertainment is just this masterful, like there's no limitations with video games. It's not about what you look like at all, so you can go the gambit of exploration in terms of character. So you are in your mastery years of this art form and this craft, and Deborah as well. I mean, watching her on stage, you can just see all of the experience and down to the tiniest little moments and the minutia. Like that kind of skill only comes from years and years and years and hours and hours and hours of practice, and it's so brilliant that you get to do this now.
Failing and then having a little success and then failing and it's never easy, but it all leads to something, even though you don't see it at your darkest times. I mean, there was like 4 or 5 months I could not get hired for anything in theater, and I would sit at our kitchen table and play Diablo 2 or 3, I think. No, it was 2. And Deb was just like, you've got to get out. You've got to get out. And I would go to auditions and it would just be soul crushing. But I would go and visit and visit the store here and just take in, exploration. So I love Diablo 3. I go through every character, both male and female, just to see how they play. I play the whole way through.
But that video, and honest to God, like the last 6 months have been, it's been so slow for me. It's been, I was due for a slow period. That's part of being an actor. And part of that slow period, I think, is an important part of you exploring who you are as an individual, so that the next time you have a busy period, you can bring more of yourself and you can bring more to the characters. It's your opportunity to reset and go deeper and go further with yourself. And I swear to God, that's why the universe brought me Overwatch. Overwatch is my Diablo for the exact same reasons.
Diablo, even though it's a dark game, it got me out of a very sad time.
Right.
Because I just felt, I
why am I not working? Because you start panicking that, like, why have I been wasting all of these years doing this if nobody wants to hire me? What am I doing with my life? Like every time.
Back for the Hairspray tour, and they loved everything I did. I worked so hard in it, and the casting directors at Chelsea just adored everything I did. And then I went in for the director and the whole production team, so there were about 25 people at my callback.
Whoa.
Jack O'Brien, this director that I just emulate. I love this man. And I was so thrilled that I got to stand before him. And the reader was so bad.
Oh, no.
I did 2 scenes, and it tanked like you don't know. And then Bernie Telsey, the main casting director, the hottest Broadway casting director, turned to Jack O'Brien and said, would you like to hear Darin sing? And Jack said, not necessary. And that was it for me.
Oh my gosh.
I was done. And I hit my lowest. And then I'll say 4 years go by, and they brought me in for How the Grinch Stole Christmas on Broadway. And it's Jack O'Brien. I'm like, well, he's going to remember. He's going to hate me. And I do these crazy little things. And it was the right project, the right time. And he just fell in love with me.
Wow.
And because I beat Grandpa Who, you know, on stuff and being weird. And he gave me my Broadway debut.
Amazing.
And so you never know when the time is going to be right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is deep. That is some life stuff, Mr. De Paul.
I know.
Life
Weird
stuff.
I'm full of weird stories because I'm old.
Yeah, I love it. I do. I got stories. Danielle's building her story. She's still young.
Oh, I'm building my story portfolio.
Yeah, you are.
Yes.
Oh, well, I am so grateful. We're at the end of our podcast. Unless Danielle has anything else she wants to ask.
Erin, you mean we've delivered the payload of the episode? This is wonderful.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
That's the best ever. Oh, I'm fangirling now. That's so good.
I'll do them all day.
You
He's
know
so
I'm gonna
full-
make you
so
do
good.
this every time we go to dinner. I'm just gonna be like, do another Reinhardt line, Darin. Oh, this is gonna ruin you. You're never gonna want to hang out with me again.
No. I adore you people. You know that. Everybody here, I am so...
Oh, so good.
I'm honored to be part of you, and that everyone is like, that Darin, he kind of does some good work. It means the world to me. I went to a convention recently. People are asking me to go, and I'm still flattered. It was in Arizona, and it was my first time like behind a table signing.
Right.
And I hate that they charged, but they charged, and I was like, I don't like it. But the first person to walk in was shaking and crying, going, I can't believe. I'm just like, it's just me. It's just me. It's just me. And I hugged her, and I was like, sit down. Everyone who's out online, everybody come on in. We're just going to sit down and talk. And we stayed the first night for 2 hours.
Wow.
It was just like, I'll talk with Reinhardt. I'll sign your stuff. We'll just talk. There's no, hi, how are you? Move on. Thankfully, we had a room so we could do that.
Wow.
And then another guy came in and was shaking and crying. I'm like, come on.
That happens, Darin. That
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
The thing,
It's
you know what
hard
it
to-
is? Yeah, so go ahead, Danielle.
It's hard. You can never get used to that. Like I had someone who cried when I went to a convention like a few years ago, and I'm like, wait, why are you crying? Like I pay bills just like you, and I breathe the same air. It's like it's something that I don't think you'll ever get over. It's just that kind of thing where it's like it happens, but you don't know why it's happening. It's very like out of body.
But
If that makes
I
sense.
think it happens though, because video
Yeah.
games are different from every other form of entertainment. And both Darin and I know you do, Danielle, like we've had when you spend that many hours in one form of entertainment, like I've logged up 90 hours in Overwatch so far, and that many hours spent with a character or characters, they become part of your family in a kind of virtual type of way. There's a love there that is much more interactive than, say, passively watching a film or a television series. You can still get the same feeling from a film and television series, but when you are in a video game, you are being those characters. You are hanging out with those characters. Reinhardt saved my life on this many occasions. That becomes a visceral thing. And I think because I game and you game, we understand that from that perspective, so that when someone comes up shaking and crying, it's like, oh, you just went through some, because you don't know what happened in their personal life at the moment that they picked up that game, and it saved their life for that period of time, and you have no control over that. It happened to be that game and it happened to be your character, but you get to be the amazing vehicle for love, to be at that table when that person gets to use you as you're like a matrix. You're the vehicle of love for that person to say, this project, this game, this character saved my life, and I needed to thank someone, and you get to be the person. So we get the blessing of getting that moment. We're the vehicles for for that validation. Our job is to just look them in the eye and understand that they just had an experience, and it's a mutual admiration of that character because you fell in love with that character performing it, and they fell in love with that character. So it's not even about you, the individual. It's really still about the character, and you two people coming together in love of that character and being able to express it and validate it and say, yes, it's real. That really happened. That is amazing that it happened in your life at that time.
And it's the wonderful work of a team because it's the director, it's the writer, and it's the designers. You look at Overwatch and everyone's a strong design and very strong characters, strong women characters, strong men characters. And it's this wonderful world. And I adore that about video games. And I hope, I hear that there may be a film, for each character. I would love that.
That would be amazing. Well, so far they have all the shorts for all the characters, and that's been really cool because we get more of each character's story as they reveal the shorts. So
everyone gets better and better because the Hanzo one, I'm like, oh well, this is drop dead amazing. Yeah. And then the Bastion one hits. And
so
like,
good.
Oh, this is so good.
Yeah, it's so true. Yes. And we're very excited for Sombra, which we will not talk about because we know nothing. But we're very excited for the next reveals. But again, I am not interested in spoilers. So if anybody out there has spoilers, don't post it on this waifu page.
Please don't.
We don't want to know.
The one time I had some lines a while ago where I said, and
"Don't
it's
get
in
in
game,
trouble." Okay.
But it was, Anna, I thought you were dead. And I went, who's Anna? I went, no. And then it was revealed at college. I was like, oh, and then I learned more and more and more about her.
It's a giant puzzle.
Phenomenal character and the design and the way she stands and the history.
The
and I want to know the history.
Oh.
I'm thrilled by this. So every time we get to go in and play in this world, we are exploding with joy as well because we're like, oh, there's more backstory.
Yay!
Oh, there's great lines that they've written. I'm like, oh, this is so cool.
It's so awesome.
We're very, very lucky. And we just get to do what we love.
Yay.
And get people through their day, whether they're having a good day or bad day. They can play the game with their friends or play a solo game like Doom or, explore WoW or the Old Republic Star Wars. And it's great to play in these worlds. It's pretty cool.
It really is. Oh, thank you, Darin De Paul.
Thank you so much.
Erin and Danielle, you made me very, very, I'm blushing.
Yay!
It was so great talking.
Well, we will have you back at some point, I'm sure, but we really appreciate you being our inaugural guest for Waifus of Overwatch. And I think we started this podcast just because we play, honest to God, Danielle and I play online Overwatch every evening together, whether we're streaming it or just privately playing with each other at home. So, it was just bound that we needed to do something. We needed an outflow for all this love, and it just is an extra bonus that we happen to know some of the amazing humans involved with this project. So thank you so much for being an amazing human.
Welcome. You do me a great honor with this interview. Oh, and there's one more thing I have to say. Catchphrase!
Yes! Yes!
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to maintain my fan girldom right now.
I'm not maintaining anything. That was awesome. Oh, that's like being tickled. That's the best. Oh, I love it. Oh, well, you guys, I don't know when our third episode is going to be, and I don't know who's going to be on our third episode, but stay tuned and follow us on @Waifus of Overwatch. Darin, do you have a Twitter or any social media that you can promote so people can follow you?
On Twitter, it's just Darin De Paul, and I get back to everybody because I think it's kind of cool that they'll go, hey, thanks, this means a lot to me. I'm like,
so make sure you tweet at Darin telling him that you listened to this episode so he knows that someone listened to it because, we're not the biggest podcast.
I'll be able to reveal some stuff on Twitter that's coming up very soon because there's some animation stuff that's coming up and more games and some TV and movie stuff, and it's amazing. I can't believe that I can do this.
Yay!
And you have a show on Geek and Sundry, don't you?
Yes, right now we're on. It's called Geek Streak. Hector Navarro and I. It's a talk show and a quiz show at the end. And I don't know when this is going to air, but you're going to be a guest on the How To Squad. Is that correct, Erin?
Word on the street is yes. Yes, that's the word.
Because we are right after that on Tuesdays at 6.
Oh yeah, so I think it's this Tuesday, but I don't know when this podcast is coming up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm going to be there on Tuesday.
Seeing you next Tuesday, and Deborah will be home. I come and get her.
Oh yay!
Solding on Tuesday, so Deborah's going to come to the studio on Tuesday, and we can have a big love fest because that's what it's about.
Deborah. Yes, I do. Yay!
It's been a long summer, but we get used to it.
Yeah.
And then time means more when we're together. And she gets a break from me going, "Oh, what do you think? Does it sound okay? Does it sound okay? Yeah. Listen again. Listen again." It's like, just do it, dum dum.
I love it. I love it. Oh, awesome. So, that's it, Danielle. You want to wrap it up?
I think that's about it. Like I said earlier, my fandom is just not. I'm gonna stop talking.
Okay. At Waifus of Overwatch, at Waifus of OW, at Waifus of OW on Twitter. The website is waifusofoverwatch.com. Obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you're there because we haven't posted it anywhere else yet. And we'll make sure that we post all of the appropriate social media stuff from there as well. So thank you so much for listening to our second podcast. And Waifus of Overwatch is out.
Waifus of Overwatch, Herman!